Okay,
Well, at my house.
September 3rd, right?
My house and other houses too.
Shh. Morning. Like I said, I don't have your test back because I still don't have some people taking them. Okay, they have until tomorrow. The online people, I'm given a week. I can't believe how many have not taken it. If they don't take it, you're out of luck. Okay, next thing we're gonna go through is we're gonna deal with inequalities and graphing inequalities and completing the square. Now, I kind of went through completing the square a little bit, right?
Yeah.
Yes, no, maybe?
No.
What am I doing when I complete the square?
You're completing it.
Looking.
That you are looking.
What am I doing when I complete the square?
There's like one square, and then you find out what's beneath the other square, and the other square, and then the other square.
Okay. I have a variable square.
Okay.
And then I have like 4x. So I have x squared plus 4x, right? And I'm gonna take that 4, divide it by 2. Why am I dividing it by 2? Because I have length and width. I'm gonna put half of them on width and half of them on length. And then I always have to add something. And what is that?
Do I need to do like where you break it apart?
Whatever it takes to make a square. Whatever this number is, square. So in this case, it's plus 4. Okay? Now, what we can do with completing the square is a number of things. Okay? It's another way of solving for equations, especially quadratics and beyond. It's also another way of finding some information for graphing. Okay? If I have that factor. I can go, what two numbers multiply to this and adds up to that, right? What if it's not that simple? Okay? I can go like this. Leave it equal to 0. Let's do something with an even number to start with. Okay. Okay, so 8 divided by 2 squared. Whoa, thank you. See that one?
8.
The dog just can't be taught. So 8 divided by 2,
4.
4 squared.
4 squared, oh, 16.
Yeah, that's better. I have to add it to both sides. So this over here is always a square. Okay, just because of what I did over there. I'm just dividing this number here, divide 2, and you just square it. It will always be a square. So I have x and plus whatever number this is. If I multiply that out, it will always be this here. always. Okay, equals -7 plus 16 is 9. Okay, now, a lot of times, this isn't gonna be a nice clean number to take the square root. So I have this whole thing square, so I'm gonna take the square root of it, square root of it. Now, that's not always a nice clean number to make a square root. Sometimes we'll get a irrational number. In other words, square root of 5, square root of 13. Okay, so I have x plus 4 equals 3. Actually, it's a plus or minus 3. Because -3 times itself is 9, and +3 times itself is 9. Either way. So, I'm going to minus 4. So x equals 3 plus 4 and -3 plus 4. So my answers are 7 and 1. And if I go back, if it will factor, and many of these problems won't factor easily. Okay, so I went back and factored this. What two numbers multiply me 7 to add up the 8? Okay. I did that wrong, didn't I? This should be minus 4. Minus 4. Okay, so -7 and -1, which is the solution to this, -7 and -1. There's mud.
Clear as mud on a rainy day.
There's mud on a rainy day. Well, on the rainy day, it's usually, starts clean.
A little bit.
Until the boy jumped in it and took a bath. Okay. We're going to start with these things. We'll give you a little while to work on them, and then we'll come back and do some inequalities. I don't want to go too fast, but I don't want to go too slow either. Number one.
You can keep it. No, you're like.
Number one, all we're doing is finding C. So I'm gonna go -36 divided by 2 and square it. Which is -36 divided by 2. -18, and that squared is 324. I'm done. Yes,
Is it always divided by 2?
yes, because I have a length and a width. That's what I want.
So that's the answer?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
We're gonna take it one step at a time. Okay, let's go down to number 7. What's my coefficient? It's 7, so I gotta divide that by 2. 4 times it by 1/2, the same thing. Now square it. Sometimes they're fractions. Sometimes they're not nice even numbers. 7 squared is 49, and 2 squared is, okay, so what you write down is C equals 49 over 7. Whoops, over 4. Sorry. Okay. Next page. back page. Okay? That first page okay?
Well, I mean, I figured it out.
Huh?
I think I got it.
Good. I would think you should. Okay, let's go to number 11. Now, this time you're going to find the value of the complete square and then rewrite it as a perfect square. So on number 11, I have x squared plus 14x. Thank you. Plus something. So I'll go 14 divided by 2. Yes, it's always 2.
Is it negative 14 divided by 2?
Okay? And then
Thank you.
14 divided by 2 is 7, negative 7. And I squared that.
Seems like pretty complicated stuff, man.
Negative
So it's not a negative,
oh, positive 49.
it's 49. Now,
Why would it not be a negative?
because any number times itself is always positive.
Okay.
Now, next thing I have to write here is what this is. X minus 7 squared. And this here will always be this number here that's in the parentheses, b squared. Sir, you're not an eagle beak. Keep your beak under your mask, please.
It's the mask. The mask is
I
trash.
understand, it's very uncomfortable.
Yeah, it's just it's not.
It itches. But you get old and ancient, and you have these little squiggly hairs in there, and it wiggles them. Brooke just loves that description.
Wait, is that all we do?
And that, yeah, so far.
So do we have to write the X?
Yep, yep. There's, on a test, there'd be 2 parts of that.
But
Because it
49 is
says,
the
it
answer.
says to rewrite as a perfect square. Okay, number 12. N squared plus 32n,
What number is it?
12. Okay, now you do, I'm giving you the odd answers so you can check yourself. Okay? Whether or not you have it in the right form. So, but I still wanna see your work within reason. So 32 divided by 2, and you square that. 16 times 16, okay, plus 256. So my answer, my square is
X plus 16 or N plus 16
plus 16.
and then squared it.
I'm done. Yeah, it's simple for now, but
And then you flip the page and then it's like what
let's
the-
do,
Chase, it's literally what we did last week.
Oh, really?
let's do 17. Because you're gonna end up with a fraction here. So, I'll give you 30 seconds. Okay, you should be done by now. You should have checked your answer. Okay? Did I do it right? 21 times 21?
Yeah, you did
I'm
it
not
right.
doing.
Huh?
You did it right. Just didn't have to.
21 times 21 is
41.
441.
2 times
2 squared is, okay, so now I go. Now, just to make, you don't have to do this. if I was gonna FOIL this back together, now does this reduce back to what we started with? I'm just going back to where we started. I'm doing a FOILing out. Okay? Even point guards have to have options. They have to know why they're doing things. Even everybody in the court has to know why they're doing it. And this is kind of what I'm doing. Now, you don't have to do this, but I'm just showing it go back, and it is the same thing as where I started with. Okay? Now, let's go to 21. I hear mumbles, but I don't hear questions. Okay? Let's do 19 instead. P squared minus 5/9 P plus something. So I'm gonna go negative 5/9. Joseph, what am I gonna do with that? Divide it by 2, or times it by 1/2, same thing. And then square it. So negative 5 times 1, negative 5. 9 times 2, 18. And negative 5 squared is 25. And 18 squared. 324?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm gonna have P, this is a negative. I'm done. That was 19. Did I do it right? Check
Yes,
the
sir.
answers.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, be aware, this is not third grade math, this is college prep. Our goal when we get done here is to have you ready for 1050. We're not doing basic algebra. We're trying to get you ready for your first course in college. Everybody who goes to college, college isn't for everybody, has to pass 1050. Except for a few rare exceptions. Okay? But they still have to pass a similar class. And I'm trying to get you ready for it. Okay? Let's go to number 21. This time I have n squared plus 6n minus 16 equals 0. So I'm going to put that 16 on the other side. I'm just going to add 16 to both sides. So I had negative 16, so I added 16, instead of being plus 0. So I'm just adding them both, as long as I can add anything I want as long as it's to both sides, just like if I have a weight. As long as I put the same weight on both sides, the weight stays balanced. And the scale does. Okay? So n squared plus 6n equals 16. So now I'm going to complete the square. 6 divided by 2. Square that. 6 divided by 2 is 3. 3 times 3 plus 9 plus 9. Okay? Now this over here gives me a perfect square every time. And then whatever's inside here, plus 3. Equals, add these together, is 25. This time it's a nice perfect square. It won't always be that over here. A lot of times we'll have a square root at this point. So, I have n plus 3 on the d squared. I'm going to take the square root of that, equals the square root of 25. And there's always two numbers here that will give me this. So I have a positive and a negative that will always give me this. Okay, so n plus 3 equals 5 or negative 5. So I have minus 3, minus 3, minus 3. So n equals 5 minus 3 is negative 8. Negative 5 minus 3, positive 5 minus 3 is 2. So in other words, this up here was n plus 8 and n minus 2. So that's n. And when I take the roots of that, I get a negative 8 and a positive 2, which is what I got here. Okay? If you remember from last year, those are the zeros. Now, sure, you could have factored that. I've told you all along that math is like a set of tools. The more tools you have, the better it is to fix things. The better it is to build things, to create things. Let's go to a more difficult one. Let's go to 29. X squared plus 26x minus 44 equals 12. Maya, what am I going to do?
I'm gonna add 44.
Good job. So I have x squared plus 26x equals 56. Now that's not a perfect square, so I'm going to end up with a square root this time. This won't always be even, so I will have to do it. So I have 26, the coefficient only, not the variable, divided by 2, and I'm going to square it. 26 divided by 2 is 13 times 13. $56 plus 169. Oh, it did come out a nice clean number. $1. Take the square root, x plus 13 equals what's the square root of 225?
15.
15. So I have a 15. Now if I want, I can do it like we did before and put the negative 15 here. For some of you that is easier, or you can put it over here, I don't care. Minus 13, minus 13, minus 13. So x is equal to 2, or it can be negative 28. I'm done. Are we done, or do we need one more?
One more, please.
Okay. This time,
It's like it keeps breaking down. And I'm like, what is going on?
it does take practice. Okay, 33. Let me check. No, I don't want to do 33. Let's do 31. not heard much from the Nicks of the world this morning. I don't care which one of you. What do I do first?
Add 181.
Good. If I write down what I'm doing, usually I won't get real confused. Come on, Nick.
186.
186. Okay, so over here, I'm just gonna write down negative 28 divided by 2 squared. 28 divided by 2 is 14, so negative 14 times negative 14 is
One ninety-six.
plus 196. So this will always be a square because of what I'm doing. Sometimes it'll be a fraction. This plus this, huh? 382. So now I'll take the square root of both sides, and this is not a perfect square. So I have n minus 14 equals positive 382 square root and a negative square root of 382. Why does that negative not go in the inside of that?
Would you write that, or do you not wanna solve it, cause it is kinda as a whole?
Where's not there? Okay? Now, will this break down? I really don't care at this point. In calculator's day and age, I'm not sure it's a big deal to simplify that square root. So I'm gonna add 14, add 14, add 14. So my answer is 14 minus the square root of 382. And 14 plus the square root of 382. Now, most of us will write it this way. Now, as far as I'm concerned for the next test, unless I say otherwise, you're welcome to leave it like that. I don't have a problem with that, not in today's day and age of calculators. But for purposes of ACT test, we probably, okay, 382. 2 goes in there, how many times? 2, 3, or 2 goes in there, how many times? You have the calculator.
191 times.
191, okay? Is that a fact, is that a prime? Will anything go into that? Let's see. I don't, 2 doesn't, 3 doesn't, 5 doesn't. 7 go into it. No, not evenly. So see, it won't break down any further. Okay? 2, 3, 5, 7, if they won't, you're pretty sure that it's left over. So there's no sense of breaking that down any further. Okay? All right, you've got it. Some time to work with that. I'll be glad to help you. Again, you're welcome to work together, but sorry, but we can't just be wandering around the room. Okay? We'll give you 15, 20 minutes to work on that, and then we'll throw something else at you.